What an incredible day's fishing on board the Endeavor today out of Ventura Harbor Sport Fishing as they ended up with 69 white sea bass. That is 3 fish per rod, limits of white sea bass, 23 halibut, and lots of rockfish to go along with it. Dropper loop fishing and live squid has been the key in this incredible bite. Several boats and landings are in on it, and the bite right now in the Channel Islands is as good as it could possibly
get.
The
boat Manana is headed to Santa Rosa Island to get live squid for private boaters and provide that for them at Catalina. But he's lost his steering, so he had to come up with something creative and innovative.
When your steering pump goes out, and you gotta go fishing, this is how you do it. This is off the tiller bar. This is to your port, and this is to your starboard. Let's go to the starboard. Say hi to Fred. Dedicated, bro. In it to win it.
Getting a report from Pat Whitaker on board the bait boat Manana as he moves up on Santa Rosa Island. Looks like some nasty weather. Looks like he will not have bait at Catalina Island tomorrow. Here's Pat.
Well, they've got 2 shooting, 2 travel there. We're just going to have to idle up into it for the time being. This is too steep, too close together. We're not going to make it tonight. We're not going to make it to Santa Rosa. No way. But we'll be there in the morning sometime. We'll keep you updated.
Hey, good morning, my dear friends, and welcome to beautiful Surfside, California. We're sandwiched here in Southern California, right between Seal Beach and Huntington Beach, and it's an absolutely beautiful morning. The sun is up, it's warm, a little breezier this morning. Definitely is breezier, and we have some weather up toward the Channel Islands. We're hoping that's not going to disturb what is really a great white sea bass bite and halibut bite. It is absolutely off the hook up there. Tremendous local fishing in 2023 for boats up and down the Southern California coast. I haven't seen bass fishing this good for a long time. And the Barracuda, instead of just making an appearance and taking off after a week or so, they have been hanging in there for quite some time. That is great to see. We still have a huge biomass of bluefin tuna in the Tanner Bank region, and the boats out there, for the most part, are doing well. We've got a good influx of Dorado and yellowfin tuna, but it still hasn't arrived in full force. You know what time it is, everybody. It is time for the morning briefing, and it's time for a hit on this delicious coffee. Great to be with you. Oh, is that good, man? That is so good. All right, don't forget, hit that like button, share these videos with a friend, tick the bell. You'll be notified when there is new content, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Over 10,000 of you have done that, and you have my sincere thanks, because without you, we wouldn't be where we are right now. Tremendous amount of people came to the channel last week, 91,000, so really good stuff, and we owe that all to you. Great show last night with Sam De La Torre. Go back and watch Tackle Shop Confessions. It was absolutely wonderful, and I went over to visit our dear friend Eddie Leland yesterday, and Tom Durr and Eddie started to talk. Tom Durr is an old captain also, and it was golden. I couldn't help it. I had to go get my tripod and my mics and mic those 2 guys up. Make sure you listen to that. It was one heck of a great show, and Eddie's looking pretty darn good there yesterday. Tom Durr, not so much. Just kidding, Tom. A great show. You're definitely going to want to go and take a listen to that. All right, at Island Fishing Tackle, where we did Tackle Shop Confessions last night, buy 2 knife jigs. Buy 2 knife jigs, get 1 free for this, I think the rest of the month, maybe. I'm not sure how long that lasts. Just mention Albacore and Friedman Adventures. Actually, all you have to do is mention Friedman Adventures, but I like to kind of zing Sam a little bit with Albacore. So if you do that, and he also has a 25% discount on Costa sunglasses. So you can go in there and load up at Island Fishing Tackle. Don't forget that. A couple of trips we want to mention to you. August the 15th, we'll be on the horizon. H&M landing in San Diego. That's a 1.5-day trip. That's looking really good. Few more spots available. Call H&M Landing at 619-222-1144. The world-famous Jolene Thompson will be on that trip, so that is going to be absolutely fantastic. Can't wait for that. And we've added a trip on the El Patron out of 22nd Street Landing in beautiful San Pedro, California, filling up fast. It's a trip that leaves at 6 in the morning, comes back at 6 in the evening. Should be a lot of fun, $150, and I will be there shooting a video on both those trips. You want on that El Patron trip? That is September the 15th. One-day trip, full-day trip. Send me a text. I'll get you booked in. 657-227-6459. Can't wait to spend some time with you. All right, let's get into it with you all because there is still some great fishing going on. We'll go south of the border to the Ensenada area. It's about 60, 70 miles south of the border in that lovely town of Ensenada, and they continue to hammer away at the local fish really well. The tuna bite is very iffy. There is some Dorado that have pushed in on a kelps and yellows with that yellowtail, but you got to have a little lady luck with you to find that right kelp. In the meantime, there's just great bonita fishing, a lot of barracuda, and off-the-hook bass fishing, as we are seeing not only in northern Baja, but in southern California also. This year's been a tremendous year for sand and calico bass, for barracuda, bigger grade bonita, some yellowtail running around the Ensenada area. Some of that fish is out there at Todos Santos Island. Some of it is on the coast like University Point, Punta Banda area. All those areas are really kicking out some really nice fishing right now. So if you don't catch the offshore stuff, you have a very good shot at really having a lot of action and fun on the local scene. All right, across the border, let's talk tuna. And we're talking mostly Tanner and Cortez right now. Cortez is normally where you're going to catch big yellowtail, and then Tanner with that huge biomass, incredible biomass of bluefin tuna right now. Occasional yellowfin also mixed in with it, and fish that vary in size from, I want to say, 10 pounds to over 200 pounds. The vast majority of the daytime fish are going to be that 15 to 30 pound fish. Nice fish, biting nails at times. It really wants to bite well out there. At other times, you're going to drop that fluorocarbon down to 25 pound and a number 4 hook, a smaller hook. You've got to do all of those things. You've got to be in the game. You've got to be observant. That is how you're going to distinguish yourself from the guy next to you and catch more fish. By observing, by dropping the fluoro down when you have to, by choosing a good hot bait, by changing that bait regularly, unless your crew says, hey, it's long soak right now. Let it soak a bit longer. Again, probably the biggest thing I can tell you is staying in touch with your crew members as the sun comes up, and it is an absolutely gorgeous morning here in Southern California. So keep that all in mind. That will play to your benefit. All right, let's go through a couple of scores. Richard Cayo on the Polaris Supreme Dream Trip. They slammed the fish with limits of bluefin tuna, and they also had 70-something nice yellowtail. Those yellows, again, Richard was saying that he was dropping the or the fluorocarbon down. He said it made a big difference. Some of those fish on Cortez bite the yo-yo iron. I love fishing yo-yo out in that neck of the woods. It really was great. And Richard said, Polaris Supreme, fantastic crew. You can't get it any better than that. Condor, 2-day limits of bluefin tuna. Navigante out of Redondo. These guys are all on Tanner. So Navigante, 2 days limits of bluefin tuna. Amigo, 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro. We have 2-day trips this fall. I think we have a couple of spots open. I'll look at that here in the next week or so. 47 bluefin, 13 yellowtail. Our good friend Chef Jason was on that trip having a ball and saying, man, there's a real party out here on Tanner Bank almost every single day. Thunderbird, 56 bluefin out of Davies Locker, a yellowtail. Freedom, right up there near limits of bluefin tuna. They're out of 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, California. Highliner out of San Diego, 2-day limits of bluefin tuna, 96 bluefin tuna. Wow, can it get any better than that? It is marvelous fishing right now. And again, you have a nighttime bite and a daytime bite. The nighttime, a little bit dicier, a little bit more difficult. You're fishing 300 to 400 gram lures. You're having metered lines so you know the depth, and you're dropping immediately when the captain tells you to do so. All of those factors play into it, and you'll catch fish up to over 200 pounds at night. But it is hit and miss. Some guys get them, some guys don't. The daytime bite for most of the boys out there has been really good. Pacific Queen, limits of bluefin tuna. Pacific Dawn, limits of bluefin tuna. It's really good. There's some misses, but most of those misses are occurring in the local zone near San Diego, where things have been really tough, especially on the full day boys. Those boys have been working hard. Some of them blanked yesterday, caught 0. So you have that going on down there. Those are boats that leave in the morning, come back that same day later on, and they're having some tough fishing down there right now. And I'm talking San Diego, the Grande, the Liberty, all those boys are having a little bit tough fishing. Some of them, like the Mission Belle, switched over to the Coronado Islands yesterday. Sean had 20-something yellows and barracuda, bass, and rockfish and whitefish. Other guys are tuna, do or die, and that bite will come roaring back soon. Don't worry about it. I know for the time being, if you've been on a trip, you're a little disappointed perhaps, but you can't be disappointed in the effort that those guys put out on the boats that I just mentioned, because they're great crews. They're working their tails off. They want to catch fish more than you want to catch fish. Every once in a while, Mother Nature throws you a little bit of a difficult situation, and we're certainly seeing that. Hopefully, we'll break out of that here today. Variety of tackle when you're fishing tuna is so very important. You definitely want to have everything from that 25 right on up to 100, 130 pound. You definitely want to have that when you are out fishing. You got to have all your bases covered in case it's finicky, in case it goes wide open, in case you're fishing big fish at night, in case you're fishing smaller fish during the daytime. A little bit of weather now. As I mentioned, it's a little breezier here this morning, and there is some breeze out on Tanner Bank right now and up in the Channel Islands. Speaking of the Channel Islands, there are fish up there in that neck of the woods. In fact, Marco Farrell was out, and he just gave me a great report. They metered bluefin tuna up in the Channel Islands, but could not get them to bite. But there are copious amounts of BFT up that way, and one of these days that's going to settle and bite also. Incidentally, our water temps now are more El Nino-esque than they have been. 70-plus degree water in a lot of different areas, including here on our beaches, off there at Catalina, in the tuna zones. Normally what happens when the water warms up is that fish's metabolism speeds up and they get really hungry. So that's why I think that bluefin is biting so well. And pretty soon we're going to get that influx of Dorado, yellowtail on kelps, and yellowfin tuna. I'm waiting for that YFT. I don't know if the seiners just hammered it into the dirt or what, but we'll keep our eyes on it and see what happens. Bo Scanlon, don't have the details, but that's one heck of a big mako shark there. I know there's always some discussion when you see a big mako like that. Should he keep it? Should he not keep it? You can leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. It's completely legal, so there's nothing wrong with it at all in terms of the legality of it. But what do you think? I mean, it's an impressive catch. You've got to admit that. Bo Scanlon, wow, that is one heck of a pescado, let me tell you, or I should say tiburon, right? One heck of a big shark. All right, islands. We talked about the Coronado Islands. We talked about south of the border, Todos Santos, which is right off Ensenada. San Clemente Island, really good yellowtail fishing out there at times. You're dealing with the fur, the sea lions. They are really omnipresent over there, should we say. Copious amounts of sea lions, and they do get in the way of some really good fishing at times, but it's just part of the game. You just have to kind of deal with it. There's also off-the-hook calico bass fishing, and also a lot of whitefish, sheepshead, that kind of stuff. Many of the guys are offshore, but some guys go in there after they fish Tanner. They go in and give it a shot, and you're likely to catch some yellows. You want to drop that fluoro down. www.opsonusa.com. Don't forget that. Put in FA at checkout. But you drop that fluoro down, you got a much better chance to hook a fish. 20, 25. That should do you just well. The yellows at San Clemente range from 8 pounds to over 20 pounds. The bigger yellows are out on Cortez Bank, Tanner Bank. That's where they're catching some of those really nice big forkies out there in that neck of the woods. And the Channel Islands, oh my God. Oh, Catalina, let me just mention a few yellows, few halibut, few sea bass, bonita, barracuda, calico bass. Not wide open though, kind of picky at the island. It's been a tough year at Cat, so we'll continue to watch that and see where we go. Channel Islands, wow, it is so good right now. We'll see if this wind gets in the way of this tremendous halibut and white sea bass fishing. But folks, it's as good as it could possibly get. And as I was telling you, in this late year, we see these bites manifesting later in the year. August, not out of the question. In fact, as I said, I think July is one of your best months for white sea bass fishing, but this halibut and white sea bass has been absolutely incredible. Mirage, 22 guys, 20 halibut, 22 white sea bass. How about the Endeavor? 23 guys on a 2-day trip, and they end up with 69 white sea bass, 23 halibut. It can't get any better. Several other boats in on it up there. It is off the hook, wide open sea bass up there, and it simply can't get any better than it is. A lot of dropper loop squid fish. There's plenty of squid up there in that neck of the woods, but as you can see on the opening, Pat Whitaker was trying to get up there last night on the bait boat Manana with his 2 strings. He's steering the boat right now, and you could see it was pretty steep and no interval. It was knocking him pretty silly. He's there now. We'll see how he does. Make some squid perhaps tonight, and then be at Catalina Island to provide bait for you tomorrow. I'll keep you in touch with how Pat does and let you know. So tremendous, really great fishing. The local scene out there, Island Spirit, 15 guys, 58 calico bass, a white sea bass, a dozen or so sand bass, rockfish, whitefish, good local bite. Channel Islands, my God, they have been all over it. It has been absolutely fantastic fishing, and it just keeps heading in the right direction. Don't forget to hit that like button. I'm not through, by the way. I'm just reminding you. We really appreciate it when you're able to do that. It helps us so very much. All right, let's talk local fishing. San Diego, my God, the premier with a big yellowtail, but the bite down there on bass, calico bass bite, has been phenomenal, remaining that way. It's as good as you could possibly want it. You catch a lot of legal fish. You catch a ton of shorts. The action is nonstop. Great local fishing out of San Diego this year. Good fishing up there out of Dana. And then we start to talk about Newport all the way up there to, well, let's say San Pedro. Tremendous fishing as they are all over some great sand and calico bass fishing. Best I've seen in many, many years. It is full speed, off the hook, wide open sand and calico bass fishing with a good shot of barracuda and a couple of halibut from time to time. It can't get much better. Danny Erickson was out with his kids on the Native Sun. Tremendous fishing on the sand bass, calico bass, and also some barracuda. Monte Carlo, half-day boat, 22nd Street Landing, San Pedro. And I can't believe they have some light loads right now. What the heck is going on? This is the best local bite. It's the best way to introduce a newbie to fishing. Take the kids fishing. Limits of sand bass on board the Monte Carlo, some barracuda to go along with it. And I got to tell you, I could go through a bunch of boats, City of Long Beach, Victory, all of these guys, everybody all over it, catching copious amounts of sand bass and calico bass. If you ever get on a trip where it's a little bit more difficult, drop that fluorocarbon down and you'll be in much better shape. A lot of dropper loop fish, a lot of sliding eggs, sinker fish, surface iron barracuda at times. It has been absolutely as good as you could possibly want it. Santa Monica Bay, picking bass up there, especially twilight fishing. Twilight on the Freelance has been off the hook. There's twilight trips that are creaming the bass right now, sand bass. So you can get on that. There's rockfish up in the Santa Monica Bay, calico bass, and we talked a little bit about that great bite up there in the Channel Islands, the Island Spirit, and several other local boats also in on some of this bass fishing. Up there in Santa Barbara, good rock fishing continuing in that neck of the woods. So it has been absolutely fantastic, I've got to tell you, with some great fishing going on. Don't miss that Tom Durr, Eddie Leland podcast. Don't miss the podcast we did from Island Fishing Tackle last night. And don't forget your discounts here. You can get 2 knife jigs. The third one is free, and also 25% on your Costa glasses. That is one heck of a deal. Make sure you mention the word albacore to Sam to kind of rub it in, because I was, well, kind of right. No, I wasn't right. I predicted several hundred albacore, at least in Southern California, but the year is not over. In fact, I keep saying to you, oh, this water's getting too warm, forget it, we're done. And Tom Durr says, hey, the year that I found that big albacore, Tom Durr found some albacore right here in the Catalina Channel back in '86, I believe it was. And these fish were as big as 90 pounds, an incredible year for albacore. You'll hear about that on the podcast with Eddie and Tom. But Tom said that water was 75 degrees and it was wide open, big albacore for some time. So, okay, Tom, you're right. I'm not going to give up the ship quite yet. All right, my friends, we'll continue to watch it. Don't forget, August the 15th, we're on board the Horizon. Call H&M right now and book with us. Day and a half trip should be a great one, and I'll be there to film it. 619-222-1144. We're on the El Patron, and that is September the 15th, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Send me a text, 657-227-6459, and those should be a couple of really great trips. All right, have a great day. Tremendous local fishing, wide open sea bass, great bluefin tuna. SoCal's on fire. It can't get much better. The only thing that would make my day even better is if I got to see you really, really soon. Have a great day, and I hope that happens. I hope I do get to see you. Take care, my friends.